Howdy folks, welcome to Katie Phillips Scrapbook Designs. I'm Katie, and today we're going to work on page number 3 in the Enjoy the Moment mini album. For this album we're using the Botanical Garden collection by Echo Park. And first we're going to start with assembling a pair of belly bands with the mats. Then we're going to score, and the dimensions for these two bands are 1 inch wide by 7.5 inches tall. We're going to score the 7.5 inch side at 1/2 inch, fold that under, and score again at 6.5 inches. And the dimensions on the mats are 3/4 inch by 6.25. So let me grab my scoring board. So scoring at 1/2 inch, fold, and 6.5 inches. I've already added double-sided tape to both of these mats. I'm just going to peel that off. Okay, the next step, we've got a couple of mats. Actually, we've got several mats up here, but we're just going to start with these two. So we have one solid cardstock that's cut to 3 1/8 by 6 3/8, and pattern paper that's cut to 3 by 6 1/4. We're going to mount the 3 by 6 1/4 on the 3 1/8 by 6 3/8. I'm going to repeat that with a second set of mats with less messing up. Right, now we've got mats assembled. We're going to mount the bands around the front of these mats. So I'm going to lay the band face down, position one of the mats about even between even from side to side along the mat, and between the two score lines on the band, and press down on the tabs. Now we're going to repeat that for the other. Now we're going to repeat that for the other band. So we're going to position the band halfway from this edge to this edge, and we're going to position the mat about halfway between the two score lines. And press down on the tabs. Now, the next step is to mount these two mats to a pair of flaps. The measurements on the flaps are 3 3/4 by 6 1/2. We're going to score the 3 3/4 inch side at 3 1/4. So let me grab my scoreboard again. We actually have 4 of these, and I'm going to score all 4 of them, but for the moment we're only going to need 2. Now we need some liquid glue. We're going to glue these mats to these flaps. Next up, we have several mats. We have 6 mats at, they're 3 1/8 by 4 1/8. And we've got 6 mats that are 3 1/8 by 2 1/8. And here's how we're going to lay them out. We're going to lay them out on these flaps. We're going to lay them out on these flaps like this. We'll have one at the top and then position one below that. And we can move them around. So we can flip it around the other way. And We're going to set those aside to dry for a sec. The base page is 5 1/4 by 6 1/2. We're going to score the 5 1/4 inch side at 4 3/4 and 4 1/2. So let me grab my scoreboard again. And while I've got my scoreboard out, I've got a piece of 110-pound cardstock. So all the cardstock so far has been 65 pound. I've got a piece of 110-pound cardstock cut to 9 by 5. I'm going to score the 9-inch side at 4 1/2 inches. And fold that in half. So this is page number 3, which means we need the binding side to be on the left. And first, we're going to mount these 2 flaps, the ones that don't have the bands on them. We're going to mount one on the left, right up against this second score line here. And we're going to mount one on the right, right up against the right side there. And it just occurred to me that I think I'm going to have to move these. Yep, I'm going to end up having to, darn it, I'm going to end up having to move these bands, each one over about an inch. For whatever reason, that didn't record. Okay, so I did a dry fit to make sure that this was going to work. The belly bands are now about 1/8 to 1/16 of an inch away from the edge. So I have glued this down to where this edge is close to the score line on the flap. And I'm going to repeat that on the other side here. And I'm going to save the other flaps for pages 5 and 6. I think I'm going to be able to use them there. Now, we're going to glue these pages down to the base page. We're going to pry these up. And we're going to glue them down like this because I completely was not thinking how this was going to look. All the way up to the edge there, and we're going to pry this one off. Glue is still wet. What I'm doing here is I am inserting this flap and just gluing these 2 tabs together. And now we're going to glue this one down right here. I'm going to line it up with the score line. Fold that over. sure that that is lined up perfectly. And now when the flaps are closed, there's no overlap there. And that's exactly what we want, no overlap. And now, actually, before we start on that, we're going to glue down our base page mat. And it is 4 3/8 by 6 3/8. Center it between these two score lines, center it top to bottom. We've got a folio that is now folded to 4 1/2 by 5. We're going to cut a mat that's 4 1/4 by 4 3/4. All right, I ended up cutting two mats. One is 4 3/8 by 4 7/8, and the other is 4 1/4 by 4 3/4. Okay, now it's 4 1/2 by 5. Now we need a little something something right there in the center. I can't pop it up because then it won't be able to slide freely underneath the bands there. So it needs to be something that will stand out on its own. Alright, that was a little bit more of a struggle than I was expecting. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. I release new mini album related videos every Friday and Tuesday. And if you have any questions, leave me a comment in the comment section down below. I will link to any materials that I can find for sale online in the description box. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.